But he was also jealous. He was jealous of Nabi Adam alayhi salatu wassalam. Why was he jealous? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us why. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. Two things that he was jealous of. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed Adam as a Khalifa on the earth. And this honor, this title, this position was not given to him, was not given to the jinn, because he was from the jinn. And the second thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to human beings, to Nabi Adam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught him the names of everything. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did that, that's why I am able to sit in front of you tonight and communicate with you through language. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the ability to name things, so then we can communicate. If we look at some of the scholars and what they say about the definition of hasad, Ibn Rajab rahmatullah alayhi said that a person hates to see anyone else being superior or better off than him. Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullah alayhi said it means to dislike that someone has received a benefit and wishing that that person loses it. That is how destructive it is. You hate that that person was given a benefit and you want it and you want him to lose it. Another scholar said that it's wishing that another person's blessing is lost and you gain it. Hasad is destructive. It destroys mahabbah. It destroys love between people. And it destroys compassion amongst the community. It also destroys the ukhuwah, the brotherhood. So we need to be very careful to protect our brotherhood and not let this disease come between us. This disease of jealousy. And if you look at the long hadith by the Prophet ﷺ in Imam al-Nawawi's hadith, hadith number 35, the Prophet ﷺ outlines many things that we need to do to strengthen our ukhuwah, our brotherhood. One of them, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تحاسدوا. Do not be jealous of one another. So for example, suppose a job that you wanted. You work at a particular place, and there was a job that you wanted, or you felt that you deserved, but that job was given to someone else. And out of jealousy, you do whatever you can to get that job, to get that person removed from that position, either through assassinating his character, or stabbing him in his back, or lobbying to get him removed from that job. And do these things happen or not? Do they happen? Yes, they happen. And they happen on a daily basis. And in fact, the sad thing is that sometimes these things even happen in our Muslim associations, our Muslim organizations, where out of jealousy for either somebody being given a leadership position or being given some position in the organization, other people will lobby to try and get that person removed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us some Quranic examples of the destructive and evil nature of hasad, of jealousy. I mentioned the first one, which was Iblis disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what happened to him? What happened to Iblis? He will be in the hellfire forever. That is the consequence of his jealousy and acting upon it. So he is doomed to Jahannam because of jealousy. Another example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran is between two brothers. Jealousy between two brothers, Cain and Abel, Habil and Qabil. They were asked to perform a sacrifice, and they both did. They both performed the sacrifice, but only one sacrifice was accepted. And because only one of the brothers' sacrifice was accepted, the other became extremely jealous of him. And guess what he did to his brother? He killed him. He killed his brother. Can you imagine that? Killing his own brother because of jealousy. And he was the first person to commit the crime of murder. That was the first murder. The third example that I'd like to mention is Nabi Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam and his brothers. Remember? Joseph and his 11 brothers. 10 of them, they were extremely jealous of what? What were they jealous of? Money, position, wealth. What did Yusuf have? He had something more valuable than that. What? His father's love. Now his father loved all his kids, but they felt that their father loved Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam more than them. That he loved Yusuf and his other brother Benjamin, more than the 10 of them. Because of love, subhanAllah, look at that. Because of a father's love. And then they plotted and they schemed to get rid of him. Some of them suggested that they kill him. Others said, no, we can't do that because it will be extremely hard on our father. Another suggested, let's take him on a trip with us and we'll leave him in a big ditch or well, and then we'll come back with the story to our dad that a wolf ate him. Cut a sheep, take the blood, put it on his cloak, take it back to dad, tell the dad that he was eaten by a wolf. So they decided to go along with that. Jealousy. 10 of them, collectively, not one, but all 10 of them. That is how destructive it is. Hasad, individually, is also dangerous because it destroys your own good deeds. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْحَسَدِ فَإِنَّ الْحَسَدَ يَأْكُلُ الْحَسَنَاتِ كَمَا تَأْكُلُ النَّارُ الْحَطَبِ. The Prophet ﷺ said, beware of jealousy, because jealousy consumes good deeds just like fire consumes wood. Now this is even more serious, because hasad is a type of opposition to the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because who decides who gets what? Who decides your skin color? Who decides your family? Who decides your rizq, your wealth? Who decides who gets what skill and who doesn't? Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the person who is jealous of the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is calling into question the decision by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's where it becomes a serious matter. Because now it's a matter concerning tawheed, belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us of this in the Quran. أَمْ يَحْسُدُونَ النَّاسَ عَلَى مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Are they jealous of men for what Allah has given them of His bounty? It belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah gives it. Allah distributes it. So when we are jealous of someone, we are calling into question the decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Do not wish for the things in which Allah has made some of you excel others. Hasad also cannot coexist with Iman in the same heart. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا يجتمعان في قلب عبد الإيمان والحسد. The one consumes the other. They cannot coexist in the same heart. So we have to be careful. So if we look at the first thing that I mentioned, that the person who has this disease of jealousy will do, he will cut his relations. So if we just look at that aspect for a few moments, Islam gives us specific guidelines to promote our love and respect and friendship and compassion for one another. But unfortunately, we don't do enough of these things, and we don't practice enough of it. That's why our relationships are still a bit fragile.